Just in time for an eBay unboxing. We're going to find out what I got today. And I'm going to tell you about two bad experiences on eBay. Now, I'm a seasoned buyer. Been buying on eBay since 1999. And yeah, what is that, 25 years? Okay. And I used to be a power seller. So, two bad experiences. One with a seller who had like 800 transactions sent me an offer. So, if a seller has a buy it now on their listing, they can send an offer, a personal offer to all their watchers. They sent me an offer for $15 for a very expensive item, not going to lie. And I immediately jumped on it before anyone else who got the offer could see it. And I paid for it. You know, I hit the offer, buy it now button. And the seller canceled it within like 15 minutes. And the reason for cancellation, get this, item lost or destroyed. Well, he relisted it for $750. And so I complained. I sent a message and I said, why did you cancel the listing and relist it after you said you lost the item or it was destroyed? And the seller said, I didn't send you that. eBay sent that to you. And I said, no, you sent me that offer and you sent it to all the people on your watch list. And the seller said to me, no, eBay sent it to you. And I was like, So I called up eBay, and I don't usually complain about sellers. You know, things happen. But that was a blatant lie that the item was lost or missing or destroyed. And I don't like when people, lie. So I contacted eBay and I said, this seller needs a defect. Explained the whole situation, showed them the relisted item. The seller had the nerve to write me a message that said that I can have the item if I wanted it now for $500. Okay, from $15 to relisting it to $750 to I can have it for a discount at $500. So the rep at eBay said they're going to give him a defect because it's something about it's against the guidelines and the rules. Good. Seller number 2 was a zero. Yes, a zero. I don't generally buy from zeros. It makes me a little nervous, but I figured let me give it a shot. He had a bunch of other things he listed, and he had an auction. He started it at 99 cents. And this is a total newbie. It's a no-no. Never list your items for 99 cents, boys and girls. So he lists it for 99 cents. I went in there and sniped with a last-second snipe. Other people bid on it too, and I won it for $2.36. Well, the guy, the same day, gives me a tracking number. It says shipped. He never shipped. 10 days go by, nothing. The tracking number never updates. It just says label created, and that's it. So I contacted the seller, and he says, I'm not feeling well. I can't get to the post office. So I said, I called his bluff because, you see, I told you I'm seasoned. And I said, you can arrange for a pickup from USPS for free. They'll pick your package up and take it to the post office for you. I even gave him the link to request a pickup. And he wrote me back and said, no problem. I'm going to get to the post office tomorrow. Well, this went on. He kept holding me off for days. And for an item that with shipping and tax cost me $7.36. It was worth way more than the $2.36 I won it for. But damn. And so I contacted him one more time. It was supposed to be delivered today, eBay's estimated delivery frame. And it turned out that I contacted him and said, hey, look, I'm trying to be polite. I don't want to have to contact eBay about this. Can you just please send my item? And then 10 minutes later, it said item canceled, lost or destroyed. And he relisted it for $80 opening bid. Son of a bitch. Okay, so this thing was $89 and it had to make an offer. I offered $50. The seller came back at me at $60 and I accepted. I took a chance on this, not knowing what this was. Sorry for the long, convoluted story about my eBay bad luck this week with sellers. But that never happens very often. And 2 in a row? God. All right, I'm hoping this is antique. I'm really hoping. It's very heavy, which is usually not something. By the way, my name is, that's not my address. That's I don't know why they did that. Oh, wow, this is heavy. Okay, I have a feeling this is antique and from the early to mid 1800s. Oh, yes. Oh, my God, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Holy cow. Look at the size of these beads. Now, this is an antique rosary. Let's check it out. And I want you to write in the comments below, has these type of things ever happened to you on eBay? Wow. Look at this crucifix. This is enormous. And these beads are huge. Now I'm going to put a regular rosary next to this to show you in comparison, like the size of these beads. This is just sensational. Yes, it is definitely antique and it is very, very old. I'm going to show you how to tell if you have an antique rosary in a moment. But this is a traditional, I'm going to show you a traditional 5-decade rosary. Let's go ahead and show this to you. And compared to this, look at the bead size difference. This is, wow, look at that. You see that? Okay, so how to tell if you have an antique rosary? Okay, first clue. It's not going to have a main metal. So after you have your patter beads after the crucifix, it's not going to have a main metal where it would probably be right there. That's number one, showing you that that's an antique rosary. See, we have our metal. Okay, another thing, an antique rosary will actually sometimes have a piece right there, but it would be a heart-shaped piece. But this is earlier than that. Here's another clue. Okay, if you look at the traditional rosary, it has 10 beads separated by 1. And then it goes all along until you have 5 decades of 10. So here we go. You see, we got 10 beads separated here by this bead, and then it repeats itself throughout the whole rosary. Well, this does not have a separation, or it doesn't have decades. If you look, I don't think it has decades. Wait, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, they do have decades. Okay, but that actually, it is still a very old rosary. How can we tell? Let's look at the crucifix. So here we go. This, if you look closely, this will have file marks showing that it's handmade. I don't know if you can see that, but along here, you're going to see file marks. I don't know if you can see that, but you see the little tool marks? That's showing me that this was handmade and not machine made. Really quite interesting. All right, the really early rosaries from, we're talking the Middle Ages, wouldn't have a division of decades. So this one is not the Middle Ages. This is Victorian. Now, let's check out the beads. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in. Now, sometimes the beads are a dead giveaway. These may be wood, but upon further inspection, let's go ahead. Let's see if we can see this. This is telling me that this is either gutta percha or vulcanite. And it was like sort of like a sap from the tree that they used to use to make almost like a rubberized product. And I'm going to show you some instances of it with actual photographs from the 1800s showing you these gutta percha pieces. Now, gutta percha stays blacker than vulcanite. Vulcanite seems to fade with age, and it gets almost like a brownish black. But I'm going to guess that this is gutta percha. Really interesting, although you would think that this is a wooden beads. My camera does not like the focus. I am sorry. Yeah, this is really old. Now, this is something that a priest or a nun would have worn. So this is actually a memento mori crucifix. We have the Golgotha skull. My phone does not like the focus. We have the Golgotha skull and crossbones here. And these were known as memento mori or Golgotha skull and crossbone crucifixes. We'll turn it over, and you're going to see that this has tool marks all throughout it. You see the lines? That's showing a file, a metal file, filed this. All done by hand. Really quite cool. We have ebony. This is ebony wood inlay. And also to tell these particular crucifixes, because they still were making these up until about the 1950s. These were popular. They actually, if you notice, you see how the ebony goes closer to the edge? The ones from the early 20th century to the mid 20th century will have less of like ebony. The ebony and the like the metal base going around it would be wider. Let me try to show you an example of that. Hold on. I'm going to get one. This is a more newer one or contemporary version that was probably made in the mid 20th century. And you see the difference between the ebony on here and the ebony here. You see how the metal is more pronounced? It's a thicker, wider, and the ebony is actually less, taking up less real estate. Well, that's how you can tell. All right, so this is really amazing. These are very rare. You do not find these very often. Hold on, I'm just putting back the other crucifix. You do not find these very often because they actually are they're just really not found, which is really interesting because when you find these, you're like, holy cow, because these are worth hundreds of dollars. These would have been worn, and that's why the beads, if you look, this crucifix is 30 something inches long. It's like 3 feet long. So this would have went around somebody's waist. It would have went around a priest or a nun's waist. Again, we have this gorgeous. Now, I love the gutta percha or the vulcanite, whichever one it is of the two. We'll go over. It's basically like a sap that they get from a tree. By the way, they milk the tree, and it comes, I think, from Asian countries. And they actually learned how to make objects out of this particular sap that's almost like a rubber. It dries almost like a rubber. It's an early form of rubber when you really think of it. And they made all sorts of objects with it, especially a lot of ladies' jewelry, a lot of accessories, and a lot of doodads. Even like things that they held photographs in would have been made out of gutta percha or vulcanite. Really quite cool. They made union cases where they would have CDV or tintype photos or daguerreotype photos in them. Or what's the other ambrotype photos in them. And they would have beautiful designs that were molded because this particular material can be molded. So if you notice, all the beads are pretty uniform in size. And if it was wood, they would be like different sizes. Like a bead would be a little smaller than another because, you have to carve wood. So this is really cool. Let's go ahead and look at some photographs from the 1800s. Now, I'm guessing that this was made anywhere between... Now, these crucifixes were made as early as the 1700s. Just very hard to figure out exactly if you have a late 1700s one to an early to mid-Victorian. You can generalize that it's around that age, but you'll know right away if this was more of a 20th century one. This is an older one because we got our file marks, which is quite cool. I'm going to clean this. It has verdigris and tarnish on it, and clean the ebony with Murphy's oil soap and condition it. Look how cool that is. Do you see the workmanship on this? This is really something else. Very, very old. I can smell the smell of church incense on it, which is really neat as well. All right, let's go look at our photographs and check everything out right now. Let's check out what I was telling you, like vulcanite and the other one, which was gutta percha. Here's some Victorian jewelry that you can see here. Really neat. And it's an article on how to tell. Now, they had all different kinds of things. They even used bog oak, which is actually jet, or it's a wood that's actual oak that was fossilized in peat marshes. And it usually is very, very black. And you'll see a lot of Victorian jewelry made in bog oak. Here's an example here. Now, I mean, for all I know, that could be bog oak as well. Very hard to tell the difference. Let's go ahead and check out gutta percha. Gutta percha is a rubber-like gum made of the resin derived from the tree in Southeast Asia, mainly Malaysia. And its synthetic cousin, vulcanite, is brownish black in appearance, but tended to hold its black matte color over time better, and is molded rather than carved. So sometimes you can detect mold lines with the eye or loupe. So it's very hard to tell whether you have gutta percha. Here's earrings, by the way. And this is gutta percha. Or vulcanite. Let's find vulcanite. And here we go. Vulcanite is a type of vulcanized rubber formed by combining sulfur and India rubber, then heating the mixture for several hours. It was invented and patented in 1844. And as a result, in the mid and late 19th century, the hard substance was often used to imitate coral, tortoiseshell, and jet, especially the latter, as dark pieces became very popular with the prevalence of mourning in jewelry because people, it was during the Civil War. Here's a vulcanite right here. This is a brooch. And so I don't know if I have vulcanite or gutta percha. The Rosary Workshop Museum, and it shows us antique rosaries and identifying old rosaries. So let's go ahead and scroll on down. And filigrees were the earliest from like the medieval times and up to about the early 1800s. Here's a filigree version. You'll see a lot of them are silver filigree with these beautiful glass beads, sometimes precious gems. This one being made in 1820. And let's keep going. Here's another early one. And it has enamel in the center of the silver filigree with these beautiful, beautiful faceted gem-like patterns. And that one is very old, 1820s. Here's one that was made in the 1850s. And this is faceted coral with this beautiful, beautiful filigree. 1850s right here. Now here's 1850s. 1850s or later, we have a heart instead of a medal, larger beads right here. And this is a nun's rosary. So let's check it out. And here we go. We have the ebony type of crucifix. Not like mine. It does not have the memento mori. And this is from the 1850s to the 1870s. And we see here an old wooden one. And we do have medals on them. As you can see here. Again, a crude looking crucifix. And so that gives you another idea. And you do see this one here. This is early 20th century. And now we do have some kind of hearts. But this is a rectangular little metal that would, hold the rosary together with a crucifix. And then we're going to go up, and these are 5-decade rosaries. And here we go. This is 1890s to 1900s right here with blue pressed glass beads. Tiger eye from 1900 to 1915. Really, really interesting. So mine is very old, I feel. This is from the 1850s. This is a carved wooden one. And it's made to look like little roses. And usually older rosaries will have the way, see the wire wrapping holding the links together? You'll see a lot of wire wrapping. And that's how you could tell it's old. 1850s on this one. And here's another one. This is 1870 to 1900 Germany. And we have a 5-decade wooden one. And you see the heart? It has a heart-shaped metal holding it together. There we go. And that was popular during the 1800s. This one is 1900 to 1910, a 5-decade fake ivory, or faux, as they call it. And this one is 1900 to 1910. We have some carving. Really cool. Here's another one. And this is gutta percha. And you can see, there we go, that has a metal, a larger metal holding it together. 1900 to 1910. This is 7 Sorrows of Mary. Really quite interesting. And there we go. There's an antique priest's black wooden rosary. And you can see the beads are actually large, but not as large as mine. This one being sold for $850. I'm telling you, antique ones are not cheap. But this one, I think mine's more spectacular because of the bead size. The bead size is very, very large. And there we go. We have some medals on it. And I showed you earlier, you can tell an old one by this type of wire wrapping holding the links together. Another one. This one's a rare, large, antique nun's Franciscan crown rosary. It's a 7-decade with larger beads, as you can see here. And we have a wooden crucifix on the end with a ring. Mine has a ring. This would attach sometimes to a chatelaine, which was a hook that would be affixed to their waistband. and $825. So these crucifixes can get very, very pricey if you want to add them to your collection. This one is a rare old nun belt, and this one is being sold for $272. It's not as old as mine because we do see medals here. Mine do not have the medals. The beads are larger, but not as large as mine. Let's check out some of them. And some of the detail here. We have a wooden crucifix. Very crudely made. And here's the whole entire thing. It has little hooks on it. And so it can attach to the nun's belt. Here's another nun's one, and it does have the clip. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the clip that would attach to the waistband and attach one end to the waistband and the other end to the rosary. But the beads aren't as big as mine. It does have metals. And this one says that it's a cherry pit one, but you can see the beads are very small. Very small. These metals are only about a half an inch. So this one being sold for $219. Now here we go. We have Memento Mori crucifix. This one being sold for $219. And this one, it says it's boxwood. But the beads aren't as big as mine, but it's quite beautiful. And it says it's boxwood. I do not think this is the same type of beads as mine. I do not think my beads are actually wood. I really do feel it's gutta percha or vulcanite, which gives me a date of about between the 1850s and 1860s. One dated from the 1800s, it's sold. And we have, look at this, we have a skull, which is made out of some kind of bone and carved by hand. And it says, sorry, this item is sold out. Let's check it out. This one sold for $331.72. It has the Golgotha Memento Mori cross like mine, or crucifix. And let's check out the person's video. And you can see, yeah, the beads are quite large. The crucifix is quite large. And it came from an abbey, which is really cool. A religious abbey. And it says it's Belgium. It's from Belgium. So I don't know if mine's from Belgium, but this is quite cool. Look at that. Really quite lovely. This is a very old photograph with a nun, as you can see here. And look at the beads. Do you note that on her dress? Look how thick these beads are, hanging down. And it's attached to her waistband, I believe. Actually, yep, there's her waistband. She has it inside a belt. She also has a crucifix, and it looks like a Golgotha crucifix hanging from her neck, as you can see here. I can see the skull and crossbones, and then she has the big, thick wooden beads or gutta percha beads going down here. This picture is dated from the 1860s, which is really quite cool. This is a priest dated from 1870, a priest's photo. And look at the size of the Memento Mori crucifix. That's just like mine. And again, dated 1870. And I would recognize these from a mile away. His is enormous. And it looks like it's attached by a rope to his neck. This is a very old mission crucifix that's similar to mine, except for it's missing the skull and crossbones. Sometimes it falls off. It was nailed in. And this crucifix alone is being sold for $319. And it says circa mid-1800s, which is really interesting. Here's an antique cabinet card photo from the 1870s. And the priest has a Memento Mori crucifix. I don't know if we could see this. There we go. I could see part of it sticking out, hanging by a rope from his neck. And yeah, you can actually see it. There we go. And yeah, dated 1870. Another old photo from the 1870s. This is of a Catholic priest. And he does have the Memento Mori crucifix hanging from his neck by a rope. Very, very interesting. Let's try to blow this up and get a bigger picture if we can. There we go. An 1860s nun, French nun that is. There we go. And she's wearing the Memento Mori crucifix. And it looks like there's two pieces of like necklace that dangles under her habit. Really quite cool. I have another nun picture that's dated from the 1860s with very similar beads to mine. You can see them dangling down here. The crucifix is probably down that way, dangling from her belt. She also has another crucifix on her lap which is quite interesting. 1860s photo of another nun in France. And there we go. There's the Memento Mori crucifix with the big, thick beads. It almost looks identical to mine, hanging from her waistband. And I think that's what we have here. We have identified the year, around the year, that mine was made. Really quite interesting. I found another French nun photograph. And look at these beads. Do you see that? And there's the Memento Mori Golgotha crucifix dangling from her waist. So what I can deduce is I most likely have a French nun's or sister's crucifix and rosary. Really interesting. Okay, so now that we identified what we have here and how old this was a super buy, probably worth anywhere between $200 to $400. Actually, most of the ones I saw had small beads. So if I had to resell this, which I'm not going to do, I would probably list it between $300 to $500. I would really feel confident in getting that price for this because these are very rare. Now that I have my flash on, we could really take a look at these beads in detail. And look, we got brownish. So I think that we have, let's see if we see seams. I think what we have here, I don't think it's wood because I do know that, I think it was gutta percha turns brownish over age and time. But I could be wrong. It could be wood. It could be wood, but I mean, it does not feel like wood though. It doesn't clink like wood either. So I believe we have gutta percha. I'm almost certain. If not, probably vulcanite, but I see no seams. I'm looking over the beads and I see no seams. So yeah, we most likely have gutta percha. Let's check out the edge of the bead. Just gonna. Yup. And they did make it to look like tiger eye. So some, or tortoiseshell. So yeah, we got gutta percha most likely. Really rare. Really unbelievable. Great buy. I just hope, but now I have a few things I'm nervous about. I have another auction that I won, and actually a seller sent me an offer. I accepted the offer, and she's not shipping. It's been 7 days, and I keep saying, can you give me an idea when you're going to be shipping my item out? And every single day she keeps saying today. And she has not given me a tracking number. So I have a feeling I'm going to have bad transaction number 3 on eBay. I don't know what's going on with them lately. If you don't want to sell something, don't send somebody an offer, or don't start your listing out at 99 cents. It's a really it's a damn shame. Now, here's one thing I'm going to recommend to you. If you're a heavy-duty antique collector and you look for sleepers, things that are worth way more than the seller's selling it for, make your profile on eBay private. Do not let them see. They won't be able to see what you purchased. So like if they go under your feedback, they'll just see that you left feedback, but it'll say private. So they won't see the other things that you bought. So if, say they sell something to you that's worth $300 for $25, and you buy a lot of those and, you get deals on them, what's going to happen is they're going to become wise if they go to check your feedback. And then what's going to happen is they're going to realize what they have and they're going to cancel the order. So always make sure that your profile on eBay is set to private. I learned that lesson a long time ago, but it still doesn't stop the sellers from not going with, going through with the transaction after the fact. So I want you guys to write in the comments below, has this ever happened to you on eBay? You win something for a really good price, it is worth more, and then the seller doesn't follow through with the transaction and cancels it and basically relists it and tells you can't have the item. I want to know in the comments below, how often does this happen to you? Is it rare or does it happen quite frequently? All right, so now you learned about antique rosaries as opposed to modern rosaries. And if you learned something, please write in the comments below, increase my algorithm, and give me a thumbs up. Thanks a lot. See you on the next one.